Okay, so thanks for joining us. We're excited to be here with all of you today, and we are excited to share a lot of really great information on where we are in the signups for PAYS. We're going to discuss a little bit about the fourth grade survey, what that looks like. We're going to talk a little bit about changes to the survey this year. So we have a lot of information to get out to you today. So welcome, excited that you're here. Just a few things to go over before we get started. Like I said, introduce yourself in the chat. Thank you for doing that. Also, we don't have any polls today, but typically we have polls and we would encourage you to participate in those, but not for today. However, if you have any questions, please submit that through the question and answer option in the webinar. So if you would please do that. Also, friendly reminder, we do record these. The reason for that is we are able to provide this link to those who are registered for the webinar. So if you miss it, you can always check it out in the recorded version. They're also going to be on EPIS's YouTube channel, so they are available for you to view. But I do like to remind everybody we do record the webinar. So just, we wanted to also invite you to find out more information about the PAYS on EPIS's website. Also, like EPIS on Facebook, we do try to put the most important and relevant information up on there regarding the Pennsylvania Youth Survey. So for the latest information, check that out, like us on there, and you'll get that information. We will have a survey that we will need you to participate in, but that will happen after the webinar. So at some point, probably next week, you will receive a link to take a survey. So I'd just like to remind everyone that we do ask that you take that quick survey about today's webinar. So that is my spiel on logistics. So now I'm going to kick it over to Emma Ainsley. She is the project coordinator at Bach Harrison. So we're excited to have both Emma and Katie here today from Bach Harrison to discuss some of the registration process, who's registered, how to find that information out. So without further ado, I'm going to kick it over to you, Emma. Take it away.
Perfect. Thank you, Lee. Let me just share my screen. Alrighty, so as Lee said, I am the project coordinator for PAYS over at Bach Harrison. I am going to provide a recruitment update. So right now we have 395 PAYS opt-ins. It's 348 districts, 41 charters, and six non-public schools. And we have 139 PAYS juniors, so the fourth grade survey. 125 of those are districts, 13 are charters, and 1 non-public. And we are about 82% of the way to our recruitment numbers in 2023. So we're getting there. And that brings us into our recruitment efforts. So 6 recruitment emails have gone out since we've kicked off recruitment in the spring. We've really focused on different areas of education about the survey and how the data can be used. We've also focused on districts that have past participation but have not registered yet for the 2025 administration. And then also our last one was focused on districts and schools that are in the state sample and educating them on what that kind of means and how important their participation is. And we plan to continue sending recruitment emails through August as superintendents start coming back into the office full time. We think we'll see a bigger jump in numbers. Typically, we see about 20 districts or schools register after every recruitment nudge. So we're hoping as superintendents come back into the office full time and kind of shift gears from summer to school, they'll start increasing those numbers for us. And then how can SEAs help? We really would love if you have a personal relationship or a close professional relationship with superintendents in your district. You can encourage participation and highlight how your organization uses the data and why it's important for them to participate. The survey window opens until September or opens on September 15th. So recruitment efforts can go on for another month, or I guess 6 weeks would be great. I can send this link out, but this link brings you to all of, all of the schools that have registered and all of the schools or districts that have not registered yet. So if you just click on this, it brings it up for you, and you can go through and see all of the data. So all of the ones that are registered for PAYS Junior. And so that's a really good resource, and we can get that link out to you guys as well. I'm gonna pass it over to my coworker, Katie Poplar. She is the project manager for PAYS.
Thank you, Emma. So I'm going to give more of an update on data and data users for everyone in this webinar. You could go to the next slide. Thank you. So our 2025 PAYS and PAYS Junior data is available in June of next year. So after administration, we collect all of that data, analyze it, and build out reports and data portals that will be shared back to districts. So as most of you know, there's a lot of benefits to this type of survey data. We evaluate strengths and needs at the community level. It helps with evaluation of existing programs or school and district kind of strategies. We also provide schools with data that inform their own climate strategies and addressing some of those risk and protective factors relevant to their student success. Again, we're always trying to engage schools and communities in helping prioritize services that they offer. We guide policy development with this data and legislative work. And we're just always trying to drive evidence-based prevention work for everyone who engages with this data. And so there is public data that's available. County and statewide reports are available on the Pennsylvania website that was shared by Lee at the beginning. It is hyperlinked here as well with a specific page to those reports. However, if you do want district level PAYS data, you must be listed as what's called an authorized data user. So I'm sure there are folks in this webinar who are already listed. If you're curious if you're listed, you can reach out to superintendents, principals in charge of registering districts for the PAYS and the PAYS Junior. But if you're an authorized data user, you get access to things like preliminary highlights reports, specific profile reports, and then access to web tools that have more granular data. As I mentioned, you can reach out to school districts in your county to request access. So if you shoot them an email, most often they will email us, or they can go directly back into their original registration link and add you as an authorized data user. And then you automatically have access to all of these things come June of next year. Data users can be added at any time. Those edits are possible on the back end for us and through that registration link, but you'll receive data the earliest in that kind of rollout cycle if you're added before administration begins. So we definitely encourage reaching out to your districts to request access just to get you the data as early as possible. And then this is kind of a visual in case your admin asks how to add you. So in their registration portal, there is a section called adding or additional authorized data users. They will answer this by just including the name of the individual and then your email. So that's how we connect with you once data rolls out. If we see you listed as an authorized data user, we will send you an email with all of that great kind of granular data. And that is all I have for data rollout. So I'm going to pass it back to Lee.
Thank you so much, Katie. Thank you so much, Emma. I appreciate you both. So just as somebody who works for a single county authority, I'll just add in that's really great information. to consider. Something else is, I know myself personally, I will be creating, emails to go out to my districts and like just reminding them that, hey, I'm here and I can support you in this process as well. And I think that's a really great time to say, hey, can I be an authorized data user in your district? So great information to share. Thank you for discussing that. And I'll also say that, for past reports, like we would just email the district and say, hey, can I have your report, please? And I think that's okay too, right? But this process is going to be really great. So I'm excited about that. So now I'm going to kick it over to Phyllis. So Phyllis Law is here with us, and she is going to give us some additional information on the survey, fourth grade survey, all good stuff. So take it away, Phyllis.
Hey everybody, glad to be with y'all this afternoon. Hope you're getting back in the swing of things if you've been away, and hope you've had a good summer. I'm just going to go through very quickly just a couple of like content kind of things in fourth grade and the other. But before we did that, I wanted to just open up if there was any questions from anybody yet. Is there any questions anybody may have? I've been looking at Q&A, but I'd love if you'd love to kind of ask the question. We'd love to unmute you and let you ask it if you have anything. Because remember, if you have a question, somebody else is probably thinking of it too. So keep that in mind. Okay, Thomas. Okay, Thomas.
Just a quick question. Will the information come, it says on the website right now that, further administration information will be coming forth or coming soon. When is that geared to, or when is that set to come out approximately? And will it include the sample parent letter as usual?
I can take that one. Yeah, so all the material is finalized and Elise has it and she is working on getting that up on the website. So I anticipate by the end of next week it will be available.
Perfect. And thank you. And that'll include the suggested parent sample letter?
Correct. Yep.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
And I will say, thank you for that question, Thomas, because it's unfortunately right now the PAYS website on PCCD is going through a pretty large overhaul, the overall website, not just the PAYS part of it. So it's not as easy right now because they're changing things. So please be patient with us, and thank you, Emma, for that kind of giving us an idea. But if it's not there, just check back. So we definitely are trying to get it there for sure. So. Anybody else? Any other question? Thank you, Thomas, again. No? Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. And basically, as I said, just go through a little bit of information about content. One thing before I get into this, I know Emma, I believe, had referenced earlier participation in the state sample. One thing I think is important to note, there was a lot of work done by some very, very smart people who went through and really looked at our state sample to see if it was time to change it. And we are pleased to announce that it waited out, it passed all the tests, it got with flying colors, it got a gold star. So we are keeping the same state sample. We do not feel at this point it would make any sense to change the sample because it did test out, and all the statistical testing they did to still be very statistically sound, and really feel like until we get Allegheny and or Pittsburgh and Philly on board, probably don't need to go there quite yet. So we were just pleased to know that our sample has held through all these years. So that's a really great thing. So I just wanted to share that first. Fourth grade, there's been a lot of talk about it, and I think with fourth grade, we're just really trying to reiterate with folks, it is not the same as what we refer to as PAYS Senior. It is very different. And it is going to be administered online, but you still will have teacher involvement. I mean, there's some things that are very different about it right now. And you can see here the content areas. One thing that our team was talking about earlier, it's also talking about testing. This survey has gone through three iterations of piloting. We have asked questions, and we've offered out questions. We've listened to the field. We've listened to what the folks are saying who was involved with the pilot, and we've edited. So this, if you have seen fourth grade in the past, it does look different than past iterations, but we feel we have a really good product now and are really excited. I'm thrilled to see that, goodness, almost half of those who have the districts who participated have agreed to do fourth grade. So we do believe in time, that for those districts who have not registered right now, that give it time. Sometimes it just takes a little minute to kind of ease into things. Also, too, you will be getting a fourth grade report. We haven't started working on that yet. Not sure exactly what that's going to look like, but I think when within a district or within your communities, you have something to share of what the output of this survey is, I think that will also help with recruitment in future times. So you can see here on the screen that the content areas, it is very much in this social emotional space, looking at the parent and family protective factors, thinking about asking questions about, bonding with your family, bonding with school, and how committed they are at fourth grade. Looking at, and you can see are very, very focused around protection in general, thinking about the future, thinking about how supportive relationships are, and really looking at, trying to look at the world through a fourth grader's eyes. This has been I've been very blessed to be a part of all the edits throughout the years for 16 years now, crazy enough to say that. And doing this fourth grade, it was really fun because we really did have to think in a different way. So very much in that protective factor space, really wanting to understand how that social development strategy really is coming into play. We also have a few questions about school safety and bullying, because that's also important to really help understand how kids are feeling about school. And again, for those of you, I see many of you are from school districts, this will help, guide that information on how you can work with your kids, in general, and how you can get them feeling good and committed, because if that's strong in elementary, there's a much higher likelihood that their success over time will happen. We also have questions about mental health. That is something that everyone is interested in, and these questions really are, we're not asking questions that are deep in, but it's really more about just sort of trying to figure out how kids really are processing the world today, if you will. And it's a lot, we all know that. So the last questions that we have added are social media and screen time, and these questions will also translate over into the 6th and 12th grade version, 6th through 12th grade version, because everyone's wanting to know, how kids are doing, how long are you online? What are you doing when you're there? There's also a question about how the interaction with their families are in regarding screen time. So I think you'll find that there's going to be a really interesting section there that will really help you understand, not just with fourth grade, but as I said, all of the grades across the administration grades. So one thing, again, we've included edits here and there weren't a lot for 25. Now we are looking to, and we've already started unpacking and starting looking at what 27 might look like, believe it or not. But in between 23 and 25, what we've highlighted here are, again, we've added the biggest questions that we've added were around social media. We've also added questions around Zen, that we know that that's an emerging substance that kids are looking into. So wanted to add some questions about that. The rest of the questions that are listed here were either removed or combined or edited. Again, trying to reduce the time that it takes to take the survey. Again, the race, ethnicity, I can't even talk this afternoon, ethnicity, it was combined and edited so that we really can get a really good understanding with where, as far as especially the ethnicity part of the question. We've combined hallucinogens and ecstasy into one question, where before it was two separate questions. So again, trying to find opportunities to save some time. Heroin, crack, cocaine, and methamphetamines were all combined into one question as well. We've edited the substance sources a bit. Still, that's a question on its own. Where did you obtain alcohol? What does that look like? But some of the question responses were edited a bit. Participation in pro-social activities. This was also edited. The question is still there, but the response options were edited. We removed the over-the-counter drug question. We were getting such low response rates. Again, finding that opportunity so it's less that kids are having to answer. Um, we removed or we edited. So the question of how many times have you changed homes is still there. The difference is the response, the question in the past was in the past year. It's now in the past 3 years. Okay. So it's just a longer time for kids to really kind of think about, because those changes can really affect how they're functioning and, you know, connecting and all those things. And the last question that was removed was the reasons why bullied. If you recall, this was about, I don't know, to probably 8, 9 different options for kids. And again, we really didn't feel that the responses were strong enough that we were getting there. So and we feel that this also opens up an opportunity that if you see those bullying numbers are high as a school district or community, you can, you know, that opens up that space to be able to talk directly to your kids, right? And to really get information in a different way. So that's really all the edits and changes. They're very general. I know everyone gets a little, and I will raise my hand to this too. When we start making changes to the survey, it's like, oh my gosh, what are we doing about trend? What does that look like? And just as we did in 23, we will also work with you with the, you know, changes that are happening, things that might happen. We are here to answer questions. If you, if a question has been removed or changed, or, you know, and it's part of your goal setting, if you need to change that goal, we're here to help you. Please reach out, you know, and let us help you kind of understand what can happen. So I will press pause there. Lee, Emma, Katie, anybody I missed? Anything I missed there?
No, I actually had a question, and before I get into my question, I'm going to invite everyone to raise your hand if you have a question, put some questions in the chat, or I'm sorry, put questions in the question and answer portion. Um, please, we want to hear from all of you as well. But my question is, can you speak a little bit about when we're adding or removing or changing questions, especially the question around I've moved from, you know, I've moved in the past 1 year, which is the question in 23, to the question in 25 is I've moved in the past 3 years. What does that look like when it comes to like comparison? Like, how can we utilize this? And I know I'm like thinking way ahead, right? We don't even have the data. We haven't even taken the survey yet, but I'm just thinking out loud here. What I know we've done this in the past. So can you share some best practices on that, Phyllis, when we're talking about that?
As far as, just to clarify, like if you're setting a goal, looking at a trend, what?
Yeah, kind
Okay.
of.
Okay.
Sort of like how can we compare the two pieces, or should we? You know?
Well, and Katie, Emma, I will please cue y'all up for this too, because I think part of this, when we produced the report in 23, if there was any change at all, it could have been a change from response of yes to no to adding a maybe. I mean, it could have been something that might, and I do want to stress everyone, we don't just arbitrarily go through and go, oh, let's make a change. It is very mindful. It is very, it very much is lots of work that goes into it. The questions are tested for their strength. There's a lot of research that is looked into. So please know that changes are not just done to do them. Now, part of what, to your question, Lee, part of what we did, and Buck Harrison, thank you for doing, is if there was any change at all, there was an asterisk, and it said, hey, your trend analysis may be affected by this. Or there might have been a little guidance there of maybe it wouldn't be, you know. And I think, and again, I think the best practice is if you have a change like that, that's going to become an asterisk in your data. No matter if you're reporting out or if you're saying, you know, it's not like, oh goodness, we can't track this any longer, but you just need to say, however, this is what's happening. A good example for 23 was we added, as one of in talking about marijuana, in describing marijuana, we added THC to the list, you know, like, because it was weed, pot, I mean, all these different, you know, what people call marijuana, right? And we added THC. And that could have some significant, because maybe kids are like, yeah, well, yeah, I'm smoking THC, but I don't think I'm really smoking marijuana, right? So it could be this space where kids are answering that a little bit. Doesn't mean the past data is wrong or the new data is better. It's just different, possibly. And there will be no way to know if what that looks like. So to me, it's about you have trend data, you have an asterisk, and you continue on with that trend to keep a look at it. And I'd look to Katie and Emma, our scientists here, to weigh in as well.
Yeah, something I'll add is Pennsylvania has done a really incredible job at looking at the reliability of the measures that we rely on to build out the PAYS survey. So, as many of you are probably familiar with, we rely on several subscales, some being measures of risk and protective factors. And so Pennsylvania does an incredible job. And anytime we're contemplating making changes, we do test those measures to make sure that they hold up statistically. So while we will kind of note in the report with an asterisk, wording change or this change, I do want to encourage everyone that the validity of the measure still holds up. So you still will be observing the same types of trends. You just might have some of those language changes, but the heart of what we're researching and the data that we're collecting is going to stay the same. But we do several rounds of double checking and rechecking and triple checking to make sure that we do know any changes that are made, so that that's clear to you if you do report that data, if you do conduct trend analyses and share that out with your team or at the district level, that's really clear in the reports as well. So.
Thank you for the compliment, Katie.
Yeah, yeah.
We do try. We strive in that space, and it's not an easy feat, and it's something that has always been a true keystone, Pennsylvania reference there, that of the PAYS, that we have a lot of people around the table, that we have, a lot of lens that looks at things, but at the end of the day, the science part of the survey has held fast and will continue to. I mean, and I think if anything, strengthen over time, because this data is only as good as people use it, period. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's an important place to be. So, but thank you.
Yeah. I've worked with several states, and I've worked in science-related research and measurement development for a long time. And I can say confidently that Pennsylvania has a very solid team of stats experts. So if anyone ever has questions on that, feel free to ask. We're very transparent as well. So.
Awesome.
So we do have a question in the Q&A, Phyllis. And team. So Lori, hi, Dr. Rosensteel. She would like to know when the 4th grade survey is going to be rolled out. So if you guys want to take that one.
I can take that one. So the first full administration will be this cycle, so 2025, and it will roll out with PAYS as well. So any district that has signed on for both PAYS and PAYS Junior, the way we think of it working is they will dedicate a survey window to a 2-week survey window, and they will roll out PAYS and PAYS Juniors within their schools during that 2-week time.
And reporting will also roll out, Lori, at the same time. We're not sure exactly what it's going to look like. It's going to be a separate report, but it will also hit that May deadline as well. So in that space, so new to PAYS what month? Lori, the administration window is September 15th through. We prefer to have it done by Thanksgiving, before that holiday period. But if you need through the end of the year, we can make that happen. But ideally, it's that sweet spot of mid-September to mid-November in that space. Does that help, Lori? I can unmute you if that's helpful. Lori, I've unmuted you if you'd like, if there's any other question.
Yep, that helps. Thank you.
Okay. And we're here to help you, Lori, definitely. So please reach out to you. I mean, this is a whole new process, but you've got a great team behind you. We're only part of that team. So,
And she's in my county, so.
oh, well, then you're good to go. Then, so, thank you, Lori.
Anybody else have any questions? You feel free to raise your hand as well. If you want us to unmute you, we can do that. Not seeing anything, team. Oh, no questions. Oh, so someone did submit to request the 2025 questions. Do we want to, doesn't seem like they have a question, but anybody want to discuss that process for us?
And I will say, Jessica, thank you for that, because what happens, and just so everybody knows, it seems rather elusive, but Elise, who normally is here every month, she those requests all go straight to her. She will reply to you directly. Okay, so if you have questions, as Thomas mentioned before, there's also going to be a lot of resources like for parents and some things that you can really dive into. If folks are asking, to see a list. Now, as far as the reasoning for that, I mean, part of, good survey methodology is we don't publish publicly, but school districts that, are welcome to share it themselves. That's sort of y'all's decision to do it. We feel that, and what we found is when folks submit a request for questions, it opens up some really great dialogue with other questions that may happen. So we're able to really help that process of folks to digest this very long list of questions. One of the things too to keep in mind when you get this whole humongous list of all of these questions, not every student's going to get every question. Period. And that's part of the reason we don't just publicly go, here's a list of everything, because it is but two reasons. Number one, there's varying versions of the survey. And secondly, because of skip logic. And right now we're sitting at about 90, most everybody is doing online. Last time was 95%. I project we're going to get, or maybe it's finger crossed hope that we're going to get about 99% of our districts doing it online. And so with online, if a student says, I've never drank alcohol, they don't get any more alcohol questions. So this again there's a lot of nuance. So when you get this list of questions, please know that it's not every little sixth grader, eighth grader, 10th, everybody's getting all it, they're not. So there's a methodology behind it. So,
And then,
at least that person.
yeah.
See, I think is the key. Everybody think it's like the wizard.
It's not, yeah, it's not automatic. There is a person
Right.
behind those questions.
Exactly.
And then those fourth grade questions, same process there as well through
Yeah, same
Elite.
thing.
Okay. I think it's important to what you're saying there, Phyllis, is time. I know that those who are behind the development of this survey, it is so important, the time that it takes. Like we really want to keep it in that like 45-minute window, right? And when there's a question, this was a point I wanted to sort of reinforce from what you had said earlier, when there's a question added, something else has changed so that we still maintain that sort of sweet spot of a 45-minute survey. So I think that's important to sort of talk about.
And I'm going to say it's not easy.
No.
This survey is utilized by so many different entities. Back in the day, everybody thought, oh, it's that drug and alcohol survey. It is so much more than that. And I think where we really have the conundrum is because so many different people and sectors use it, whether it's mental health or it is drug and alcohol or it's school climate or it's community. I mean, it is such a vast amount of information, and we just try to be very diligent and mindful about we don't just add a question, we don't just take one away, it's one of those things where we have to be, in this mindful space. And that's why we have our PAYS panel, who are school district personnel who really provide some direct insight for us. We have our PAYS SAG, the advisory group. We've got, Katie and Emma and Buck Harrison. And I mean, so many people behind this that, and we want to hear from you. I want to say now, we absolutely, I don't want to speak for at least, but at least once a week. Oh, could you add this question? Well, while okay, love the idea, we have to again go through a very stringent methodology, and we just can't be all things to all people. But we really try to do the best we can, with the time kids have. But to Lee's point of really keeping it, fourth grade should be about 35, 40 minutes, 40 somewhere in there. And with the PACE senior 6 to 12, it should be less than a class period to do it. And especially do it online, it may be even quicker. So, it's just, there's a lot that goes into it, and we definitely, that's why we want to include all of y'all all the time, and to hear from you and to know what questions are meaningful that you have, like the example of the sources of bullying. That question had gotten the responses were so watered, if you will, that what we had heard from so many people is they just didn't feel that the responses were really capturing what kids were saying. So again, took that step back, very mindful, found a way to make an edit. So definitely let us know.
So with that being said, there's no other questions, but please feel free to communicate to us with suggestions, with other questions. Katie and Emma, thank you so much for being here with Phyllis and I today. And of course, thank you, Phyllis, for doing a great job explaining through, walking us through this process. So,
Can I add one thing, Lee? I'm sorry not
absolutely,
to interrupt
absolutely.
you. You
Go
are
for it.
doing an excellent exit strategy there. But it just occurred to me that, school's getting back in. And this, I really want to encourage you to use PAYS as an engagement strategy with your families. When we say, this whole thing of do we post the questions, do we not? It's an age-old debate. And there's a lot in both directions, good, bad, should, shouldn't, I mean, all of those things. But I just want to say to those of you that, again, utilizing PAYS as an opportunity, and a really good best practice would be to, if you have, let your parents know if they want to see a list of the questions, keep it at the front desk. Let them come in, let them take a look at what it is, right? If that's something you feel would really help your parents. And that also opens up that question. If you have a parent who has some questions, it opens up that opportunity for dialogue for you as well. So I would say that, utilizing PAYS as, again, Lee mentioned it earlier, the climate of surveying is, with students, it's always a big question. We are so blessed in Pennsylvania that people really do support this. They know that, and we're not just surveying our kids, people are using this data. It's another great way, again, engagement with your parents to let them know you aren't just asking their kids a bunch of questions, how you use this data and what you use it for and why it's so important. I think sometimes that's all really parents really need to hear a lot of times. At least she does get a lot of outreach from parents saying, let me see the questions. And once they get it, they're like, oh, okay, great, thanks. So it's more just about finding those opportunities of relationship building, if you will, around this process and utilizing it in a way that could really help you. And this is a great time of year for that, and really just sort of helping you help your families. We're here for that too. So please let us know. Sorry, Lee, I just kind of popped in my head.
No worries. That's great. Thank you, Phyllis. So, we will adjourn for today, but please join us again in September. So again, first Wednesday of every month, We will have a calendar schedule for everyone that will be sent out to you if you're registered for the webinar. So that will be coming out shortly. That will give you a little bit of detailed look at exactly what our topics are. So look for that to come in your inbox in the next couple weeks or so. So our next presentation, our next First Wednesday webinar will be September 3rd at 1 o'clock. So we invite you back. And thanks again for our panelists. Thanks again for the great conversation and the great questions. And again, we will send out a survey link that will invite you to answer a few questions about your experience today. So please, we encourage you to take that as well. And if you need anything from us, you know how to get a hold of us. So everyone, have a great day. Thank you.
Have a great day, everybody. See ya.
Thank you, everyone.